What is up, guys? Welcome back to Mainly Movies, the channel where we talk about, well, mainly movies. So welcome back to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing David Lowery's new film, The Green Knight. This tale follows young Gawain, who is challenged by a knight. After the challenge is successful, he must go on a journey to gain honor and finally fulfill the challenge.
Who can regale me and my queen with some myth? Or tale?
So finally, I saw The Green Knight. It was released on Amazon Prime in Australia, which is not my preferred viewing of it. If you just saw the Last Duel review, you'll see that I prefer going to the movies and seeing a film. So I thought this movie was going to be released in theaters. This movie would have been so much better in theaters. So I even booked a day. I remember it specifically because it was around my brother's birthday, and I was going to take him to the movies to see this because this seems like the story he would be interested in. I was ready to go, and then all of a sudden there was no screenings anywhere, and I was wondering what was going on. And for a couple of months, nothing. It wouldn't tell me anything where it would be shown in Australia. And then probably about the start of October, I read somewhere that it's coming to Amazon Prime at the end of October, and it released, and it wasn't my preferred viewing of it, but I watched it. And might I add, this is probably the best film I've seen this year. I know I said that in my last review for The Last Duel, but this is one of the best films of the year. This movie absolutely blew me away. I wasn't trying to get my hopes up too much for the film because the director David Lowery, I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, but his last film, A Ghost Story, didn't do a whole lot for me. It wasn't a movie that I was overly impressed by, so I didn't want to get my hopes up for this movie too much, but the trailers and everything intrigued me, and I'm a big fan of fantasy stuff, D&D and the Elder Scrolls and all that sort of stuff I'm interested in, and to see this kind of supernatural fantasy movie, I was very, very eager to see what it could bring to the table. And boy, was I pleasantly surprised. This movie blew me away. Visually, this movie is beautiful. The color, the costume designs, the production design, everything within just the movie visually is beautiful, especially the color. The colors are they just pop out, and it's just so beautiful to look at, and it's so easy to know where the filmmaker wants you to look, and that is just so beautiful. There's probably one of my favorite shots of the year is in this movie, and that's very early on in the movie where he's leaving the castle, and you can see it in the background, these kids following him. He's just riding a horse, and there's a bunch of sheep just go past, and it's just this very silent, long take of him leaving the castle, and it is so beautiful. But there's also a billion other shots in this movie that are so beautiful to look at. This movie is also very well performed. Dev Patel does a fantastic job in this movie. It's very, very good, as well as other actors that appear in the film. Barry Keoghan, Joel Edgerton, Alicia Vikander. They're all very, very good in this movie, and I didn't have a problem there. I didn't have a problem with this movie at all. I feel like this movie is probably the best movie I've seen in the last year or 2 years. The cinematography, I already kind of covered that with the color and all that, but the shots themselves are very, very good. There's one shot, again, kind of early on in the film, where we get introduced to Barry Keoghan's character. He's kind of like a bandit scavenger, and there's just a scene where Dev Patel is lying on the ground, and the camera just does this pan, like this 360 pan, and it's very, very kind of slow, but it's just so beautiful. Just the use of camera movement and the lack of camera movement as well is so good. Just the very still shots are beautiful. So like the scene where he's in this, there's this river, and he's talking to this woman at night, and just the branch hanging over, just the composition of the shots are so beautiful. The directing and the writing as well are fantastic. The writing is so kind of poetic and beautiful, and it's just it's just that fantasy movie that I needed, the one that it almost kind of relaxes me in a way. It's very, very, I don't want to say this word too much, but it's beautiful. And there's so much to just look at, like visually, not just with the colors or anything, but just special effects wise, the scenes with the giants or just the fox, just things that they don't seem too massive, but they bring the world together and they make the world more interesting. I know a lot of people are saying not much happens in this movie, and I can understand that. It's not this action fantasy movie, but it feels like a good world building film. There's so much to just kind of acknowledge, and there's so many things that they don't explain, but you can tell that they live in this world, and that I feel like is beautiful. They don't need to tell you what it is, but just to see it there and be confused by it, you know it's in this world, and it's just so great. And I feel like this is definitely one of the best fantasy movies I've seen. I mean, I don't think it beats Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings, but it's definitely up there. It's a great fantasy movie. Now, the ending of the movie can turn people off, but when I sat down and I thought about the ending, because it left me there for probably, I don't know, 10 minutes after the credits finished. It left me there just sitting wondering what I just watched, more specifically the ending. When I thought about the ending more and more, it just became more and more clever. I love the ending. I think the ending is perfect. It's great. It's almost a little depressing, but I still find that so it almost feels rewarding, and it has this sort of reward to it. But I can see that being everyone else's negative with the film, but I feel like the ending, in my opinion, is a major positive. I think The Green Knight is a fantastic movie, one that you should watch if you like slower films. I know this movie is very slow, and it's not slow burn as in not much happens like his last film, A Ghost Story. That movie is a slow burn and doesn't need to be a slow burn. It's one of those movies that people watch and they're like, oh, it's, you know, very artistic and all that, but I didn't get much out of it. Whereas this movie, because of the world building, because of the beauty of it, because of the fantasy aspect and everything that kind of intrigues me, this movie didn't feel slow to me. It felt like I was understanding lore, I was understanding this world, and that to me was amazing. But yeah, The Green Knight, there's not much else I can say about the movie. I pretty much covered everything I wanted to say because it was a fantastic movie, which is why I'm going to give The Green Knight a 10 out of 10. I haven't given a movie that rating in a very, very long time. This movie was great. It exceeded my expectations, which is something that rarely happens anymore with movies, but this did it for me, and definitely a movie I'm going to watch again. It is good that it's on Amazon because that means I can watch it whenever, but I would rather go see it in the cinemas a couple of times, wait for the Blu-ray, and then just watch the Blu-ray over and over again. But yeah, I did really, really enjoy The Green Knight. I highly recommend it. I think it's one of the best movies to come out this year. So guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.